Today's true scary story is not just going to be one story, but a compilation of stories. 3 stories about what I believe to be our mimics. Make sure before you watch this video that you say a prayer and that you also put headphones in so that you don't allow the speaker on your phone to invite any spirits into your home. The first scary story is about a girl named Raven. Now, Raven lives in Indiana with her fiance, and one day her and her fiance were at home just eating dinner and watching TV in the living room. She has to get up to go to the bathroom, so she gets up and she goes to the bathroom, which is down the hall from the living room. When she gets into the bathroom, she opens the door and she sees a man standing there. But this man looks exactly like her fiance, just a little bit taller. But the man is just standing there smiling at her. She thinks this is kind of weird, and she's like, okay, why is he in here? Like, he was just on the couch, but he must have needed to come in here and get something. Because then, after he's just standing there smiling at her, he turns around and he walks into the bedroom. So she thinks this is kind of weird, so instead of going to the bathroom, she turns around and she goes back to the living room. And who does she see? Her fiance, just sitting on the couch. She stands there in shock. She cannot believe what she is seeing right now, and she just looks at him and says, "What? How did you get here so fast?" And he just looks at her and he's like, "What do you mean? I didn't get up. I have never gotten up. I have been here the entire time." And she said, I just saw you. I saw you in the bedroom. You were standing there smiling at me. Like, what? And to her horror, he says, "Oh my God, I saw the same thing earlier when I was washing the dishes." He just didn't tell her. Why? Why do guys do that? Fast forward to a couple days later, and she's home alone and she's watching TV, and her living room is right by the front door when she hears somebody knock on the front door. So she gets up, she goes and checks, she opens the door, and no one's there. So she's like, okay. So she shuts the door, she goes back and she sits down. When all of a sudden she hears somebody call her name, Raven. So she looks up and she looks in the direction of the door, and what she saw terrified her. Standing right before her eyes was a tall figure with no face, and it was just standing there calling her name over and over again. Raven, Raven. Now, she is absolutely frozen in fear right now. She cannot move when all of a sudden the door opens and in walks her fiance, and that thing disappears. And she runs over to her fiance and she's like, "Oh my God, is it really you? Is it really you?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?" "Yes, it's me." And she's like, "I just saw you. I just saw you. I just saw you. You had no face. Like, I don't know what's going on." And he's like, it's okay. Like, I'm here. That wasn't me. I've seen it before. Like, remember, it's not me. Calm down. Story number 2. Now, story number 2 was sent to me by a girl named Raven. And Raven grew up in southern Michigan in the 80s and the 90s. Her house was on 5 acres and surrounded by fields and dense woods. There were no other houses in sight. Every morning when she was around 9 or 10, she would wait at the end of her long driveway for the school bus with her faithful German Shepherd, Nova. On a fall morning, she wakes up, she does her regular routine, and she goes to the end of the driveway with her dog waiting for her school bus. Except for this morning was different. She's standing there waiting for the school bus, and she hears something in the distance. It sounds like a woman's voice, but it's saying her dog's name, which is Nova. It's just repeating, "Nova, Nova." So she's wondering if she's going crazy. Is she really hearing this? But then she looks at her dog, and her dog's ears perk up and look in the direction of the sound. And then she hears it again. "Nova, Nova." Voice is changing a little bit this time. This time, the dog's fur on the back of its hair is standing up, and she's staring into the woods, and you can tell that the dog is mad when she hears it again, except for this time, it sounds almost demonic. "Nova, Nova." At this point, Rachel is freaking out, and the dog is growling and staring into the woods and standing in front of her. So she gets out of there. She runs back to her house, and she's like, Mom, I just saw something in the woods. I saw something in the woods. There's something that's trying to get me and the dog. They're calling Nova's name. I don't know what to do." Her mom is just very dismissive. She just says, "You're gonna miss the school bus. What are you doing back here? You have a wild imagination. Knock it off. Go catch the school bus right now before you miss it." Rachel said that this experience freaked her out so much, and she did not think anyone would believe her, so she has never told this experience to anyone except for me and a little girl that she sat next to on the school bus right after it happened. So, what do you guys think of this story? What do you guys think that this was? Drop it in the comments. Story 3. This story was sent to me by a girl named A. So in the year 2000, A had just gotten off of work and she went home and she called her ex-husband, which was then her boyfriend at the time. She was on the phone with her boyfriend and everyone else was asleep. She's talking and all of a sudden she gets this weird feeling that someone is watching her. So she turns around and she sees her mother standing there. She said that she was just standing in the doorway wearing a long white nightgown that looked like her great-grandmother's. Her hair was down and she was just staring at her. Then A starts to talk to her mother, and this is how the conversation went. A, Mom, are you okay? What's going on? Silence from her mother. Then her boyfriend is on the other line going, what is going on right now? She responds to her boyfriend and says, I don't know, my mom's standing here. She's just staring at me. Then she looks back at her mom. She goes, Mom, what do you need? When all of a sudden her mother just comes flying at her and then disappears. She freaks out and says to her boyfriend, I need to go. I need to get off the phone right now. He goes, why? What is going on right now? And she tells him and he's like, oh my God, do I need to come get you? And she's like, no, I'll be fine. And she hangs up the phone. She then goes around her house. She rounds up all of her animals, which I can only assume are mostly cats because of her description, because she says that when she gets into the room and she shuts the door, all of the animals are frantically trying to get out of the room. They are crawling up the curtains. They are scratching at the door. They are running in circles around the room. She was so scared that night that she slept with her lights on. Now, the next morning, she tells her family what happened. And all of her family members are like, you are full of it. Like, that did not happen to you. Until later on in 2021, 21 years later, her brother sees the same thing. Now, she didn't give me any details on what her brother saw, but she did say that her brother saw the same thing. So, what do you guys think happened here? What do you think this was? Because to me, this sounds like a mimic. This is what this sounds like. But I need you guys to drop in the comments what you think it is, because she wants to know what the hell is going on in her family and why is something mimicking her mother. Now, the crazy thing is I get a lot of mimic stories, or a lot of stories that are very similar to this. Some of them are so similar that it freaks me out because these people don't know each other. So it just makes me wonder, what's going on? What do we not know? All I have to say is the next time someone tells you a story that you think is unreal, crazy, not true, just think, there are so many people out there who have experienced the exact same thing as one another. How is that happening? How is that happening when all these people that don't know each other are experiencing the same exact thing? My name is Kaisa, and I tell true scary stories every single night that you guys submit to me. My email is in the description. It is kaisaspooky@gmail.com. If you have a story that you want me to recount on here, then go ahead and email it to me. Let me know if you want to be tagged and if you want me to use your real name and give as much detail as possible. But other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. But also, what else do I need you to do? Have a spooky night. And if you guys like true scary stories, subscribe. Love you.